Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Weirdos at Home. My name is Sam Slade. You guys know that. I've got a very special guest on the podcast today. She has her debut special coming out October 10th called Social Media is Fake. I'm very
Yeah.
excited, as you can see. And she's also the co-host of the Slide Into Your DMs podcast, and that's a Creek in the Cave production. The very funny Maggie Mayfield. What's going on, dude?
Nothing, dude. What's happening?
Yeah,
Just working a lot, just making some art and trying to get people connected.
you're all over the place. You hustle. You and I had Josh Castro on last week. You guys,
Yeah.
two of the hardest hustling comics in Austin.
He's so funny. He's so great too.
He's just a sweet dude. Uh,
Mhm.
so what do you have going on? What are you playing this weekend?
So I just played music to make some extra cash when I'm not killing it at the stand-up comedy game. And so I'm gonna play a couple of restaurants. Play some
Cool.
music.
What
Yeah.
restaurant? Plug it.
The Bluefin Sushi Bar
Oh,
in on Brody Lane
the place is
and then in
great.
Lake Wait. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I look forward to it. Like it's such an easy get. Like I just get to play music for myself and then people are listening and they're like, wow, you're so good. And they like to tip really well, which is nice. But they also feed me when I'm done. And it's like
That's awesome, right?
I'm really
It's a pretty
sushi.
sweet deal. Is it more of a like a therapeutic deal compared to comedy? Like, is it just like no stress for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
literally
so
just
nice.
plug in, I play some songs that I love, and then yeah, people are like, wow, that's fun. I'm like, cool.
That's it. That's really awesome because most people are stressing on one talent, much less having another incredible talent that they can be like, oh, finally I can relax.
That's funny. That's funny.
So
Well,
tell me,
like I started playing like music doing comedy. And then when COVID hit, everything shut down. And now that it's starting to rebuild and come out, I figured out, oh, I can use this. I'm already playing these songs anyway. It's like, oh, I can use this to make so I can pay rent, you
right?
know?
Yeah,
How
I
cool
mean,
is that?
yeah.
It is not over my head that I understand how lucky I am that I get to perform for a living, that I get to
Well, I
have.
wasn't trying to make you feel bad, Maggie.
No, like I get how cool it is.
It's
And it's like I see my peers and my colleagues, like Josh Castro and so many other people that still have to grind it out at a 9 to 5 in order to be able to do their art at
right.
night.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
You know,
Yeah.
and when a lot of creatives right now with the actors and writers strike are just kind of locked out. And that's wait any day now for that deal to get done. I think they said this week or by October 1st.
Mm.
I'm sure they're going to really jump on it with that threat. And then if they don't get it done by October 1st, it's next year. So I mean, I'm sure a lot more people are going to be trying to maybe flirt with a guitar or harmonica here in the next few months if this drags out. Right? You got to figure something
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I
Do you,
mean,
have you ever done any acting? Do you have any interest in moving from stand up into being on screen?
yeah, so I do a lot of that actually, which is like the main drive and the main focus. So like during COVID, my partner and I at the time produced a film called Self Isolated, which has won so many awards.
Cool.
Yeah, and I got to play the lead in that, which was really fun. And then I've, written and directed and produced a couple shorts of my own and done some commercial work. I'm so blessed that acclaimed talent here in Austin has like picked me up and they've kept me busy for
They're
sure.
they're a great agency. I know a few
Mhm.
people with them.
Yeah.
I know some guys that Acclaim took some chances on because they're such a great agency, and said people didn't really rise to what Acclaim
Mhm.
saw them, which happens, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, remember all of us little folks in Austin when you're making moves and running shows and hosting award shows and doing all that. Did you see the MTV Movie Award or Music Awards this week? I'm sorry, I'm almost 40. I barely know what it's called anymore.
Almost 40. I am 40, my dear. Yes, it's the MTV
Is it
Music Video Awards.
Is
I'm
it,
just
is it as scary as 40 as scary as I'm making it out to be 2 years out?
oh my God, you still have 2 years. Um,
You said it like I just got into Shawshank.
oh my God. Is it as scary? I mean, it doesn't have to be,
Right.
but you're an artist also, and it's like 40 feels like that weird milestone where like, oh, the should haves, I should haves, and I could have been doings, but I take a look at my life, I turn around and it's like, oh, I've done art my whole life. And yeah, I don't own a home or have kids or I'm not married. It's fine. I just did it different. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
trying to accept that, like I keep saying that, but it's like, all right, let's internalize that. But it just takes time.
Right.
He just turned 40. So
You're like, who was that? You're like, I need to listen to that lady more often.
right. They idolize youth in this industry anyway. And so it's, when I'm surrounded by comics that are 28 years old, I'm just like, oh my God.
Which I felt, having started doing stand-up and getting out there and going to auditions or whatever, like, still in high school. I was so bored with public school. I felt old doing that stuff at 28. Felt like you'd been slugging it out for a while.
Yeah.
And you say, about worshiping youth. That's so funny because I can't think, and maybe it's just the more creative types who feel this way. Tell me if you how you feel about this. But I can't think of like anybody super young on any platform, like any art form, where I'm like super jacked about them. Like I want to go see like the hits, right? Like I want to go see the classics, like see what the new Scorsese movie, or go see Wanda Sykes live, or like somebody who's like you're in for it.
Yeah. Well, Matt Rife, I think, is a good example of that. He's a young guy.
I know. I gotta do more crunches.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's just blowing up the internet right now. But
he is. He's blowing up huge. I saw interesting thing. This is totally random, but I got a great comedian on who would be perfect to talk about this. So Russell Brand got in some trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked that he turned out to be a dirtbag. Extremely shocked.
Were you?
No, see why? You see why SAG isn't missing me? That's my acting.
Yeah.
I have nothing to offer. No, so his PR people thought it was a great idea to send him on Joe Rogan, fly him to Austin, put him on Rogan yesterday so he can talk about when Anthony Fauci should be arrested. And you're like, that's an interesting PR strategy. That's interesting crisis management.
Okay.
Well, I think Tara Brown, if you're watching, babe, Maggie is in your corner and ready to prosecute Russell Brand to the full extent of the law. You're like, we'll go based on rumors.
Yeah, I don't need evidence.
You're like, no.
That's how the internet works, though.
God, I couldn't believe old Ashton Kutcher shit the bed defending old, what's his name? Danny Masterson. He came out and made it, and I didn't realize he was the head of some charity that dealt with sex trafficking. Yeah. And then you're like, Ashton, read the fucking room, dude.
Well, I mean, if you like dig into it further, basically all he was saying is like, he's not defending him. He's basically just saying the time that I've known him, he's been a good person. And that's all.
That's fair.
Which is kind of admirable that he's not just ditching his friend.
Right. It's a weird place.
Line.
It's a tough place to be, right?
Yeah.
Because they came up together. The headline after this podcast will be Maggie May, Ashton Kutcher apologist. You'll have to answer for this in like 20 years.
No, I know. I just wish people would do more research, and like social media is fake. That's it. It's all fake and it's all clickbait, and they just want you to get angry and upset.
I get it.
And talk,
I'm such a fucking hypocrite about it, Maggie, because I'll go, I'll complain that somebody like a relative or someone less in the know, friend of mine or of Tara and I's, will post something like completely fake. Like they don't know though, right? Some crazy article or something. And then I'll get busted so hard from Tara when I'm like, did you hear about whatever? And I obviously read the headline of the first paragraph.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, did you finish it? Because at the end, the dude got exonerated, and it turned out he didn't murder that family in the end. So you need to finish the.
It is such a fine line too. And when like with Ashton, it's like, yeah, he did do that. But also like you see the news all the time. People are like, oh, he seemed like such a nice guy when they're talking about serial killers or murderers. Oh, he seemed like such a nice guy. Like, oh, nice to you. Like nice to you. I don't know what his intent was by like putting out this letter saying that.
Well, I think he was trying to. He put it out I think to sway the judge a little bit on sentencing.
Maybe, yeah.
It was like a character affidavit kind of statement. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
that
by the
makes
way, how did that get leaked? Right? Like that seems like
yeah.
I don't know. Okay, well, on from Ashton Kutcher. Enough with that. He's like, I didn't even rape anybody. What the fuck, America?
I know.
So the MTV Music Awards.
Mhm.
That I'm the asshole because I don't watch them anymore. So
Taylor Swift got very drunk. That's about all that you missed.
who? Tiffany Haddish?
No, Taylor Swift got very drunk.
Oh, she got drunk too. Well, I saw Tiffany Haddish got so drunk she's screaming at Shakira.
I love that. What? That's hilarious.
They're walking through like that big kind of that hallway area, and Tiffany Haddish just got Shakira. And Shakira's security was just like, we don't know who that is. Just keep moving. Don't even turn around.
Right. What's that commercial like? Your hair's blue. Yeah. Just keep it to yourself.
What happened with Swiftie?
Oh, she just had a good time. She just got really drunk dancing, just like she does.
Is she gonna call Travis Kelce back or?
I don't know.
Well, she's in his head because he played like an 8th grader that just got dumped last Sunday. That cheap end is like,
I did see that he was like, I went to your concert. Don't you want to come to a thing of mine? You know,
yeah, it's getting
falls in her court. So
it's getting pathetic. It's getting sad for Travis.
Why?
Well, because first he says he called her and she didn't call back, and you're like, okay. I don't know if I put that out there about Taylor Swift. You're just putting up numbers for her. And then he goes to he plays on Sunday, and you can tell he goes through this whole range of emotions over the course of the game. Like at one point, it looks like he's crying. At one point, the coach is like having to hold him. At one point, he's like maniacally laughing after he like knocks some guy out. And you're like, oh, dude, you're going through like newly dumped guy, rejected guy emotions today. And it's just sad to see Taylor just wreak havoc on another good one.
Oh, I wish it were easier for her to date, but she has to do everything so publicly. And I don't know, like, is it a thing about men where you're just like, oh, I got it? Like,
what do you mean?
Like a conquest almost? Like if you had an opportunity to talk to Taylor Swift, you would talk about it, like.
Oh, I definitely would talk about it, sure, yeah. But it would be very quick, and she'd be like security, and that'd be it, probably how it would end.
And then she'd take you to court and sue you for $1.
I hope $1.
Well, she did that to a radio DJ.
No, she did. And she's like, just to teach you a lesson, mister. Well,
yeah,
that's awesome.
He touched her inappropriately. She took him to court and sued him for $1.
I think that's an interesting question, though, because I think they're definitely meathead dudes. Keep in mind, Travis Kelce's about as meathead as it gets, right? And I say that in a loving way, but I think there's definitely a streak of men still too old to be thinking like that, of like the thing that you were just saying, like the conquest thing.
Yeah.
And also like only certain women end up in that conquest kind of area, right?
I was going to say, I think I've met all of them here in Austin.
Austin, I think that's one of our biggest exports is the women who think they're a conquest. I was born and raised here. I can make that joke. I've been per capita rejected by more Austinites than these LA kids have a lot of catching up to do. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Where did you grow up? Are you from Austin?
No, from New Jersey.
Where in New Jersey?
I moved here from LA.
So you went Jersey, LA.
Yeah.
And where you're going to LA to do the thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a lot in between, but that's a story for a different.
Okay, we don't have to get into it.
Listen, I had a whole career in radio before I started doing comedy and acting.
Were you really in morning radio?
Yeah, kind of all over the country. I mean, I worked my last stop was in LA, so I was working there, and then I was what's called voice tracking, and so I would do shows in Dallas, and then in San Francisco. I had one in Toronto. I was on a jazz station in the UK. I was all over.
That's awesome. I have a similar background. I think that's what really screwed me up was getting into morning radio like right after high school.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, it's fun. It was really fun. It just pays like garbage.
But that's the thing. But the fun is it's so much fun that you're willing to deal with You know,
Hmm.
the low wages and the shit treatment and the program directors.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite thing about working in radio?
Um, when you would leave the studio and do live events and people would tell you things that you said and you're like, I have no recollection. Sounds like me, but it affected them in such a way, like that never got old. That was always my favorite.
That is a very sorry. I got a little cat over here trying to shut this production down. That was always very cool because think about it, how cool that is that that person drove to that remote
Hmm.
live event
Yeah.
and we're like the whole time blasting through lights, going like, I'm going to tell them how fucking hilarious that was.
Yeah. 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 It's just the best.
Well, if maybe if shit really hits the fan, we can always just team up in morning radio in Austin here because I know they're hurting these days.
Yeah, it's so weird to have gone from LA and listening to what's happening here in Austin. And I'm like, this is
Yeah,
small town. This is small town. I listen to traffic and I cringe but laugh at the same time. Just
because you're like, this
it's
is nothing.
oh, it's yeah, just it's so different. So
I
different.
got into radio after high school with Dudley and Bob, and it was still very much the shock jock era. To which my partner Tara Brown has made it clear how extremely toxic masculinity of an era that was. And it took me a while to like really wrap my head around it when you look back and go like, oh wait, our whole thing was like just try to be wilder than Stern before he leaves to go to Sirius and try to out outrageous him. And then
Mhm.
that never involved equality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we are never
Yeah.
like, let's come in here and let's make fun of a good looking guy and tell him how shitty his body is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you obviously never were on those kind of shows, right?
No.
That
No.
was a safe question. I thought I'd get that one in.
No, I was never on shows like that. I've always had like a musical background, and so parodies, it was always very smart. We always did very smart stuff. Actually, I'd like to take credit for the Simple Life, that Paris Hilton show that they did on the farm, because one of my first morning show jobs was in Wisconsin, small Sparta, Wisconsin, at Power
Whoa.
97. And that station actually has won country music station of the year several times over the last 2 decades. But I had the pleasure of doing mornings with Arnie Andrews, and because I had moved there from California, no one really understood. The internet was barely a thing at that point, and he was like, yeah, let's intern you on a farm, let's get you into that small town mindset and like really get you integrated. And we came up with a bunch of merch ideas.
It's so cool. What a
And
great
so
place.
yeah, I went out. So some local farmer was so kind and let me go out there. We took an intern out and we taped the whole thing. And for a week, we just did segments like of me intern, which was so hard. It was so, I mean, I did everything from like feed and milk cows to climb silos to barreling hay. I had to castrate a bull. It was
Holy
insane.
shit, Maggie.
The
And then
stuff
and
that I
then
did.
it's making
Yeah.
great morning radio bits, right?
Oh yeah. And people for months when they would come to live events would talk about that segment. And so I like to take credit because that was long before the Simple Life. So I like to take credit for
You
that
you
as
guys
well.
were you guys were the Dr. J to the Simple Life's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, pretty much.
The worst thing, I never had to castrate a bull. That's pretty intense. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you have my respect as a broadcaster. The worst thing I had to do was I was still an intern. They hadn't hired me full time yet. Well, I mean, I was working full time, but like the money thing. And
Yeah.
so I called in sick the day after Halloween, and they kind of knew my lifestyle at that point at 20 years old, and were like, "You're full of shit."
Mhm.
And it wasn't the 24-hour flu. Get back to work, and I was like, "I'm fine. I feel great." So they had a UT softball player come down. They blindfolded me. She would chew up Halloween candy and baby bird it into my mouth, and I would have to guess 5 in a row, or we'd have to start over.
Ew.
Uh, so I might have been that might have been why I never got COVID. I'm not sure, but it was
That's so funny. What a funny idea. That's a
oh,
funny.
it was horrific.
Yeah. Oh my God.
To which my partner Tara was like, "What the fuck was wrong with you? Did no one ever hug you? Like, what? Why did you think you needed to do that?"
We were
Just the
chasing the
laughs.
laugh. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Because none of us got enough love in our childhood.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog was only around part time. It will tell us, us, me and this cat. What is your theory about social media?
Listeners. What's that? Sorry.
But what's your theory on social media? Because I want to pick your brain about this a little bit.
What's my theory on social media?
Yeah, just let's get into it. That's the name of the special. I think it's time that we kind of, as nationally, as a country, as a big family, all maybe stop and go, this has been fucking up our brains.
Yeah. Well, we're still kind of in the wild west of the internet. It's still such a baby.
Which is terrifying to put that in perspective.
Right. And it's so funny because we're talking about the writer strike and directors and actors and stuff. And I keep saying this, and I wish more people cared, because what they're doing is getting the government to pay attention to AI and write regulations and rules that will help everyone.
Right.
We just happen to be in the spotlight right now,
Right.
having to deal with the hard stuff, having to deal with it. But our government is so old, they're just like, I don't get it. I don't want to deal with it. And they're putting it back in the hands of the creators. And they're like, well, what? I don't want to write the rule, you know?
Right. They're like, that's not what we signed up for.
Right. But what's crazy too is like, I met someone who uses AI to help cancer research.
Yes, I was
So
about to say that. I just read a huge New York Times thing about AI diagnosing stuff.
right. So it's like, yes, it can be amazing, but also it can be very dangerous. So it's just, how do we use it? How do we use it as a tool, the tool that it is, without taking advantage and hurting people in the process? How do we let people that made it make money without, how do we all take advantage of it?
Right. And how keep from impacting people it shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
I think you just keep it out of creative stuff, right? Like the diagnosing stuff, anything I feel like math and science, get after it, robots. I trust you. Which I'll end up eating that one. But as far as, like, I read an article about how soon baby lawyers, or like junior lawyers at big firms, will be replaced by all the basically writing briefs and all that kind of stuff and summaries will be replaced by AI. And what they're going to keep around is the big performance trial lawyers and like the old kind of tenured guys.
It's coming for everyone, It's coming for all of us. So, but
happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
I know. Here's what I'm not worried. Here's what I'm not worried about, though, in terms of like creativity and art, is that the people who are the most successful are the most transparent, right? We're all human. We're all going through this human experience together. And those who are the most vulnerable and the most authentic, we're drawn to that. We're drawn to people who are real. And so you've already seen it. You've already seen these TikTok videos where people are using AI and the voice to text, like, there's a disconnect there. It's not real. Right. And so when you start using AI to write movie scripts, robots will never have the human experience. They'll not. That's impossible. It can never happen.
Right. I saw somebody at the writer strike with a hilarious sign that said, AI never had to go through, a ugly divorce when they were a kid, right?
Right. Or puberty, or
whatever, being bullied at school, all of the things that got us here. Yeah, I mean, as far as the government being so old, it's really kind of scary at times when you realize that there's probably a handful of young guys and young women like AOC who get it and understand that there are issues that we were far behind on. But then there's that other 3/4 or 3/5 who are like 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mitch McConnell, it's really, I'm starting to feel bad at how much I enjoy that Mitch McConnell freezing up clip.
I talked to my dad this morning, and he just turned 62, and he was sharing with me about some of the fear and the depression that he's experiencing because things are changing. And it's all good stuff, like he just paid off his mortgage, like he owns his own home, but he's going to like a part-time fixed income, and just all the changes that are happening as he's aging and the fear that he's feeling. And it's like, oh, the people in government are human too, and they're all experiencing their own fear. We've just elected to put them in charge. But like, you get a little bit of power, and who wants to give that up?
Right.
I get it. And I wish that more people had a little humility, especially in our government leaders, to say, I don't know anything about this, and I don't know that I have the bandwidth to understand it.
Right. And I
And then
think
pass it on to someone who does. Like,
And I think that's what was
man,
so refreshing about guys like Beto or Obama or even AOC, when she rarely gets caught not being educated on something. That lady reads everything. But the ability as a leader to go like, you know what, I need to sit down and take a look at that and mean it though.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's okay.
It's
I think
human,
that's okay.
right? Like,
And we should. Right. There's so many times where I see, especially in Hollywood, where like something goes terribly wrong and everyone's like ready to point fingers. If just someone would say,
you mean like on a set?
yeah, okay. So for example, the gun that went off on set,
Mm-hmm.
what's his
Alec
name?
Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. And he's been hitting it so hard. This isn't my fault. I feel if he had just come out and said, this is terrible. I
Right.
feel terrible. I'm sorry that this happened. This sucks. I think everyone would have been like, yeah, we feel free, man. Like, accidents can happen. You know what I mean? Like, even though they're investigating whatever, accidents can happen. And I think we all would have had a little bit more compassion and empathy. But instead, he's like, I didn't do this. It's everyone else. It's just like, calm your
Yeah.
tits down. Like, terrible shit happens all the time.
Yeah. No, your dad sounds like a very cool guy who can be vulnerable, you know, to his
Yeah.
kids and open up like that. Because my dad is very much more like the Alec Baldwin post Rust shooting, where he's just like, whatever, no,
Yeah.
that wasn't my job. That was somebody supposed to check that. And you just go,
Yeah.
guys, why don't we just, it's when are we going to have this era of vulnerability, Maggie?
We're not,
all
because we're on
respect.
social media and it's easier to like be afraid. It's so much easier to be afraid, which is why everyone was angry in 2016 through most of 2020 and beyond. Like, that's why everyone's so mad, because it's easy to be afraid. It's easy to
And
get
there's
people
probably more stuff
out
to
of
be afraid
fear.
of now than ever, right?
Right. But what is like wild to me is that social media can be such a wonderful tool. And I've connected with so many wonderful people, especially through the pandemic, because of Facebook and Instagram. And I'm still finding new fans through TikTok.
That's
It's
so
so
cool.
fun. I actually wrote social media is fake to make fun of an ex, because we would, let's just say I wound up moving in. We wound up moving in together. And I thought that day would have been fun. And I bought him like a gift card to like go out to dinner so we could celebrate like this big milestone in our relationship. And instead of like helping me take things from downstairs in the car up to our apartment together, he was like, oh, we had a big show last night, and spent a good 90 minutes online making sure his social media was updated.
No, it
You
was
know,
a musician.
no, but in the
Okay.
business,
Okay.
and it's just like little things like that. And it would start to eat up so much of our time together. I'm like, what's more important? Like hanging out with me and experiencing the world, or making sure that your social media is updated? Like there's a time and a place for that, and I schedule it in my day every day
Right.
to make sure that it looks right. But like, I'm not going to tell you, yeah, come over at 10. Like, let's
Right.
do
No,
this at
there's
10.
a time and
And
a
then
place, and you also have to celebrate
right.
big milestone moments like moving in together.
That is a big deal, but it clearly wasn't, which should have been a red flag, and I should have just moved back up. But
Oh
I
well,
didn't.
here I'll
Yeah,
relate a social media story. Went through a really ugly divorce 5 years ago. I was married for all of 6 weeks. It's like you said earlier, it's a story for another podcast.
yeah.
I ignored some red billboards,
Yeah.
flashing red nuclear signs.
You're supposed to, because we're human, and if you don't go through at least one, yeah.
Boy, and I really didn't want to be Alec Baldwin on that deal, so I ignored all of them. So before I even know I'm getting divorced, you go to her Instagram and it's like I never existed.
Oh,
But you know what I mean? Like the ability to, like, we were making a joke before we recorded about everybody has to be their own producer now, when I was wrestling this dumb light. And now, not only that, but everybody has to be their own publicist to some extent, even when you're not even, putting out content or trying to create anything. you still get to be this like weird little PR person of your life. And it's getting kind of total recall-y, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that's where like we'll always start. The people that can live in their own truth and be vulnerable and accept the fact that we're human and make mistakes, those are the people that are going to thrive. The people that live with something to hide, those are the people that are concerned about social media. I'm not worried about social media. There's nothing that you're going to say to me that I haven't either already said, or the core people around me that are the most important that protect me.
Right. But you're also out there and you
Yeah.
put it out there and you're real, and you go on all kinds of shows and podcasts and put yourself out there live. I mean, all kinds of instances where you can be heckled not only online but in person, and it's just it.
And it's that I have been for
I
sure.
just, I
Actually,
yeah,
last year, last year, in August, I I had gone on the first big tour. It was a month-long comedy tour. I was all over the country. I was dating someone. I got home, and then we broke up. You go through what's called post-tour depression, and then a very good friend of mine has started cyberbullying me. I'd known her for like 12 years, and just out of nowhere, I had set some boundaries, and we weren't talking a lot over the summer. And then, yeah, all of a sudden it was just like post after post after post of just this negative stuff. And I went into such a depression over it. And honestly, that trifecta of things is what kind of sparked this idea to write this special.
right.
So I didn't think I was going to make it to my birthday last year in September. I did not
Oh,
think.
dude, I hate to hear that. When's your
Yeah, I
birthday?
didn't think I was. Yeah, but that's called being human. And
Right.
thank God that there are, the 4 or 5 people in my life that I
Mhm.
keep close, um, that know what the truth is, that believe me when I tell them, and that's all that I need. Everything else is like,
Right. I mean, it's a weird place where we've thrown everybody in together when it comes to social media.
Mhm.
You got people just trying to promote their stuff and go, hey, come check out what I'm doing. And you've got people acting like their fucking lunch is the same equivalent to the special you worked on and expecting the same reaction, right? Like I got a buddy, an actor buddy, who he cooks just like the grossest looking shit at home. And he
No.
posts pictures of it and he just reps it. And I think he's so unself-aware and like thinks he's making, dinner at the French Laundry, Michelin star dinners, and you're like, that looks like throw up, bro.
Oh,
But
oh,
he's promoting it the way, hey, Maggie Mayfield's got a new special out. You're like, Josh is over here cooking slop. Not Josh Castro, not Josh, different guy,
no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
but I think that's just so weird to me. I mean, I remember like back in the early aughts in radio, or message boards got real big, right? But then you'd have
Mhm.
like the verified like radio person who could delete comments and kind of moderate. And then you had the crazy, prize wars, for lack
Yeah.
of a better radio term.
Perfect. Yeah.
Prize pigs. See, that never got down here. That's a classy one.
Yeah. Yeah. Social media is its own job. It's a full-time job. It really is.
But it does such great things when it comes to like, a shooting goes down somewhere and you get the word out and maybe it's reacted to quicker and dealt with quicker, or the Arab Spring where it literally popped off revolutions over Twitter,
Yeah.
and then you have people, I don't know, just trashing NFL tight ends because they don't want to call them back. Just kind of playing real hard to get.
Oh. Listen, if Taylor Swift is not available, I will definitely take that call.
Oh, from Travis Kelce?
Yeah.
He's got a brother in the NFL, and I love that their mother is straight up like, no, I don't say good things to the son that lost that week. Like she's straight up like, no, you win and you will be held and hugged and loved. If you lose, you will not be called. And you're
That's
like,
so funny.
my mom? Who is that?
I always wonder about like the Manning brothers at Thanksgiving when they're all together. Because there's a third one, I believe.
There is,
And
and he
he
had some
does like,
injury, but he's Arch's dad, and Arch is now the backup at UT.
okay.
Sports.
What's I don't
But
know how.
Eli and Peyton are they're funny dudes together. But their
Yeah.
dad was an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
That had to
I'll
be
never forget there was like a morning show radio bit in LA when I was young. I was a teenager. And Eli, they would make fun of Eli so much, but Eli, I think, is the older one. Is he the older one? I don't know.
Peyton's the oldest. Eli's the
Oh, okay. But they would make fun of Eli and like talk about how protective he was of Peyton. And so they would impersonate these scenes, and I'll never forget it, but it was on Kevin and Bean in LA. And they'd be like, don't have Peyton. Don't have Peyton.
Oh, that's low. Yeah, he got
Ooh,
special kid hate for
it
a
is.
while.
My sister and I still say it to this day. So thank you, Kevin and Bean, for that piece of.
Are they still on the air? Are they still doing the show?
No.
Wow, man. Everybody's done these days as far as radio goes.
Yeah.
Bobby Bones is still big though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh, I love that so much. Having worked with the guy and worked against the guy, nobody's still big.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Kitty.
That cat is half ocelot, and
Uh-huh.
we were at Petco one day buying dog food, and they were having a kitten adoption, and we peeked in there, and the one they tried to push on us was more or less explained to us that it was the Helen Keller of cats.
Oh my God.
And I thought that's a little above my pay level.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go. And then as the last second, I looked over my shoulder, and in this little corner, this dark little kennel, this tiny little orange ball was calling me out, and I was like, "Can I hold that one?" And they handed to me, and some innocent 8-year-old girl walks by like, "Mommy, I like that one." I was all like, "Get the fuck away from me!" And we're best friends now.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
I've never been a cat guy.
Oh, what's his name?
His name's Conan, but he goes by Coco. And he doesn't meow. He doesn't know how to meow, and he doesn't hiss. He just goes meow. And just yells at you in the morning, and he knows I'm making fun of him. Are you? Do you have pets?
Yeah. I've got a puppy. He's 7 months old. His name's Patrick. He's like a hound mix, and he's very big.
Patrick sounds like, get down, bro. This is why we don't let you in here. Patrick, a hound named Patrick sounds very he sounds very sophisticated.
Oh my God, he's a little idiot, but I think he's a little high right now. I gave him a CBD treat this morning.
Oh, it works for Patrick? It won't work on our dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But also every 2 hours I try to take him out to walk for at least 15 every 2 hours. Yeah, for 15 minutes. I try and walk him. So oh my God, I can hear him snoring.
Really? Is that big?
He's just tall. He's only about 45 pounds. He's just very tall.
How old is he?
7 months.
7 months. Oh, he's gonna get big.
Yeah.
When does slide into your DMs? When does that come out?
Every Thursday. So our first episode with Creek in the Cave just dropped yesterday. And then so they'll come out every Thursday. Skankfest is coming up, which is a big festival out in Vegas. And so the focus is kind of on that right now.
I was listening to the Bonfire guys while I was getting ready.
Yeah.
We're big J fans around here.
Yeah. If you don't know, there's someone here in Austin. His name is Darian. And last year he said on a podcast, I mean, a big man, I want to say 300 plus pounds. He said, I'm going to ride my bike to Vegas for Skankfest. And I mean, almost over has dropped so much weight, and he's on the road right now. And so he's got a team of like 5 guys following him in a trailer, and they're doing a whole documentary. But if you haven't seen it, at Never Going to Make It is the Instagram handle, and it's so much fun.
That's like real life, like Forrest Gump.
Yeah. And they're doing it. He's doing it. And they've had every obstacle thrown in their way, from flat tires to forgetting bikes to brakes being gone wrong. It's just rainstorms, lightning storm. It's just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And he's still just like,
are they camping by the side of the road or doing hotels or what?
Yeah, they've got like a trailer, which does not have AC in it. So there's just 5 dudes sleeping in this hot trailer.
you know it's so funny, and this is usually the sign of like somebody you can trust in comedy, is that on the surface, never in a million years would I expect you, where there's no knock or anything at all, to be any kind of at all interested in Skank Fest or Big J or any of that.
Oh,
So you just goes to show that funny's funny, and we can
yeah.
all just share that.
Yeah. I'm just a big fan of people that want to share their art. It's hard.
I'm a big fan of Jay because he's crowd work. That's one of my all-time favorite things to do in life. Like if there's somewhere I can just go in the day and do it. That sounded
Yeah.
dumb. But also I really relate to the guy telling such embarrassing childhood stories and the old stories on, I mean, he's told some killers about being such a fat little dork kid in Philly. And then
Yeah.
Tara and I got to hang out with him when he came through town. And it was everything like one of those people that you go like, I don't know. It's like, do you want to meet him? And then you're like, that's everything you would hope that it would be, it was just as advertised, as opposed to, that slime like Bobby Kelly, that Hollywood trash. So your special comes out
October 10th.
October 10th. Where can people
Um,
find it?
It'll be on my YouTube at Maggie Mayfield Comedy, and then it's also on Amazon as well.
Awesome.
But if you don't know, there's a song in the special called I'll Call Bob, and I just did a huge music video to kind of tease the release of the special. And it is one of the most amazing things I think I've ever made and created. And so
We will share it. Absolutely.
so
I slide into your DMs every Thursday.
yes.
Also, if you're watching this on Friday, I will be at Mr. Nice Guys tonight doing a little guest spot. It's a weed shop. There's no reason not to come out. I think that's all I have to promote. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Well, Patrick, does he have any dates?
No, he does not, but he's very TikTok famous. Otherwise,
Really? Do you have a Patrick TikTok account?
no, but he comes on with me live. I do a lot of lives on TikTok, and so
Oh, that is it. Me and Lando are coming for you. We're going to start a whole TikTok rivalry.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for coming on, Maggie.
Thank you for having me, Sam. So
This was a
fun.
blast. Come back on with Tara and I sometime, and we can get into a lot more real stuff, and you won't have to deal with the Tommy Boy idiot.
Stop it. That's so good.
All right, thank you so much, Maggie. You're the coolest. Weirdos at home, guys.